Well, hi everyone. I'm John Rethland, and this is my review of WWE 24 Edge, the Second Mountain. So, this is pretty inspiring shit. It shows how hard Edge worked to get back in the ring and just do what he loves, and how those that were with him, those, in his inner circle, no, not the group, really inspired him to just see things, like see how he could get back in the ring, but he could also live this life that he had outside of wrestling. And this is pretty damn good stuff. If you haven't seen this, I encourage you guys to watch it. Obviously, a review. I am going to, hit the highlights on here, but if you guys have not watched this, please watch this. And if you have, please let me know in the comments what you guys have to say. So this was supposed to be his life after wrestling. That's what it was supposed to be about, but it morphed into, just showing that he could come back. He became a father. He filmed TV like Haven, Vikings. He was pretty good in Haven. Actually, he's pretty good in both. And he's done some pretty good acting. We then get footage of Mania 27, and apparently only Christian and maybe a couple others knew just how bad Edge's neck was, and that would turn out to be his last match. He would have a little bit of a dark match thing, but let's just ignore that. His closing match was WrestleMania 27, retaining the World Heavyweight Championship over noted idiot Alberto Del Rio. So Vince found out the results because Edge had to go to the doctors, and Vince called him personally and said, "You're done. You're done. I don't want you to end up paralyzed." And then Edge had to retire. We see the footage of the speech. Christian talks about Edge's accolades, all the championships he's won. And then we see a little bit of a radio interview piece a number of months after Edge had to retire. And he still had, I think, a year on his contract at this point, because I think it expired right after WrestleMania in 2012. So WrestleMania 28 took me a second to remember that. But after that, he talked about divorcing himself from wrestling. Like, he was doing Haven. Beth talked about Edge adjusting to life outside of wrestling, how he needed another surgery. Like, he had the fusion surgery, but then I think it was a C4, not the explosive, but, in his neck. Obviously, that'd be weird if he had that in his neck, an explosive, that is. But he had an issue with his, with, one of his discs, and he had to get that taken care of. And once he did, he didn't have headaches. He didn't have, apparently, like, he was able to, like, do more physical roles and stuff like that. And as time went on, after not being part of wrestling and everything, he would get back into it. Him and Christian would do the Edge and Christian show, the Totally Reeks of Awesomeness. They would do the podcast. They would do a lot of stuff. He would do some network special stuff. Of course, they showed footage of Edge Appreciation Night from September 13th, 2011, and that showed footage of his mom, which that gets right to the bone here in a second. But he did show up. They show footage of him showing up in NXT, offering to help talents, talking to Ciampa, who was going through his own neck issues at the time. And Ciampa saying, "I think I'm friends with Edge," so that was something. That was actually pretty cool. But then some really hard-hitting stuff here. This is pretty emotional if you haven't had a chance to watch it. But Beth's dad and then Edge's mom passed away within 2 months of each other. Now, they weren't a rock-solid couple, that were there for each other. I don't really know how either of them would have gotten through that, because that's a terrible thing to go through, losing a loved one, especially a parent. It's good to have that core there. And they really, talked about, you could tell Beth was still emotional. Understandable, as losing a parent is very, very tough. But they were there for each other. And then they, pulled themselves up by their bootstraps, in Edge's words, and got back to where they were able to do, they were able to go on and live their life. Edge showed they showed footage of Edge on Sheamus's Celtic Warrior workouts, and they were bike riding through the mountains, and he took a tumble on a bike, and he was like, my neck's not hurting. So the wheels started turning for him to come back. He talked to WWE, and then he talked about going to do training and stuff like that. We show footage of Edge at, what the location was of his wrestling school. In his first match on Canada Day in 1992, it was outdoors. It was like there was a playground in the place of it now, but I think there were like 50 people. But the bug bit him, and it would not let go. Like, he was bit. He was going to make it. We then get to Toronto Arena. I think it's the Scottish Bank. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but the venue where Unforgiven 2006 happened, since I tend to screw up arena names. We we get to see, footage of like all, some of this stuff he's had. Him and Christian's last match where Edge and Christian broke up in 2001 when Christian went, at last he's on his own. And you're here. You heard that. You heard the theme, didn't you? You heard the theme. But apparently him and Beth started dating on Edge Appreciation Night. Or like, right, or like, they started talking and everything and started dating soon after that. And that's really, really good stuff. His mom was able to be there. And it all goes back to his mom being his center. She was one that got tickets for, I believe, him and Christian at WrestleMania 6. And that was pretty much what inspired Edge to, like, really want to get into wrestling. He'd obviously been a fan before, but getting to see that at the Toronto Skydome and getting to be there, you could tell his mom meant a lot to him. And it was pretty moving stuff that I can't encapsulate in the words, but it was pretty damn moving stuff. Then, apparently, Beth trained at the same school that Edge went to, like a number of years before, which is pretty cool. And how they have so much in common. It was all intertwined in wrestling. It all goes back to this place. So you don't want to talk about kindred spirits and soulmates. Yeah, I think these two, fit that just fine. Christian and Edge with a box full of memories, and no, that's not a cliche. They were looking at all these drawings and stuff like that. Edge done. The cutting crew was like this thing that it was something that inspired him and Christian to get into wrestling, showing stuff, like showing footage of Edge, being a wrestler, in his early days. Really cool to see the early matches and how his mom had saved this stuff, so maybe he would see it one day. Then we get to take over Toronto 2, Electric Boogaloo, and Edge had some fun. He was backstage because Beth was there on commentary, and obviously being in Toronto, being from there, from the nearby area. And then he was at SummerSlam the next night, which was also in Toronto. And he appears, speared Elias. Beth wasn't too happy about that because she was like, I thought this was just supposed to be a promo, but no, his neck felt fine. And then the wheels really started turning. He started seeing doctors. Every doctor cleared him. He kept clearing every hurdle. And then he wanted to talk face-to-face with Vince about coming back possibly. And he wanted to keep it quiet, but he found out that he was cleared. And he texted Beth, and she got on the ground and says, I'm cleared. And he was trying to get a ring. He was thinking about getting a ring. He didn't want to go to the Performance Center because then that would spoil it. But WWE gave him a ring. Gave him a goddamn ring. Beth helped not train him, but, retrain him. Get him back, get him in the in-ring shape and stuff like that. And that was some pretty cool stuff. We then get to see, footage of Edge being a father, taking care of his girls. One is named Lyric of Sonic Boom, Rise of Fame. Butchered that joke horribly. But also their dog, the Goodest Boy. I think it's some kind of husky, beautiful dog. And it's really cool. You can see how much being a father really means to him. And then we get footage of Edge talking about, just talking about, his life and everything, and talking about getting back in the ring, a workout montage. I didn't catch the music, doesn't matter. Dash Wilder helps Edge train, and then we see footage of Edge talking about like how he, saw a DVD of Dash Wilder like years before when he was another, I don't remember the name that he had, but that Edge wanted to help get him in WWE. And then him and Scott Dawson are an incredible tag team, and will hopefully be an incredible tag team somewhere else, but that's another story for another day. It was cool to see Dash Wilder give back, like, hey, you helped me get in there, and you're such a legend, and I want to help you. And it was pretty cool. Edge's mom, this is the one that got me, and I'm going to try not to cry here because I actually did start to in the show, but if this one doesn't get you, it's like Beth says that shortly, before she passed away, Edge's mom, and I don't remember her name, I'm really sorry about that, but said she wanted her to continuously look after Adam, Edge. And I was like, ooh, boy, okay, cool, all right, let's just pluck out the heart and start tugging at the strings and stuff like that, just playing it like a goddamn guitar. But that was pretty good. And then we go to the Rumble. He's in a secret room. Beth talks to him and everything, and she's nervous. He's nervous, but he knows it's going to be okay. And then Edge is among the wrestlers. Alistair was apparently pretty happy. Becky was like, he looks really good for his age and stuff like that, like, considering he hadn't been in the ring for a while. And then, we see footage of the Rumble return, which I don't know if any moment's going to top Edge's Rumble return, because that was really, really goddamn good. But fan reactions, we see fan reactions in the crowd. And Riddle at one point, Riddle's like backstage throwing up his arms, which, I mean, you know, you have your criticisms of Riddle, but at least he has having fun there. Beth is very emotional, very happy to see her husband get back in the ring doing what he loves. And then we see footage of that and everything, him being eliminated near the end. Everyone congratulating him backstage. Drew, Reigns, a whole bunch of people. Edge, it felt like a dream sequence. He was talking. More fan reactions and footage, like footage from home, footage from people in the stadium. That was pretty cool. Basically wraps up with him wanting to tell good stories and make sure that he gives back to the talents. This was really, really emotional stuff. Very hard hitting. Some WWE, some easy for me to say, WWE 24 episodes are hit and miss. All of them are pretty good, usually, or at least decent. This is easily one of their best ones. This was goddamn good, and it really showed how hard Edge worked to get back in the ring. So I love to know what you guys have to say in the comments. Let me know. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritland. I'll see you soon.